This evening's announcement is, in royal terms, a small earthquake. In his own name, Prince Andrew says he will stop using his titles and honours, including Duke of York and membership of the Order of the Garter, because of the continuing allegations around him that distract from the work of the King and the royal family. He restates that he vigorously denies the accusations. The palace has briefed that the King is glad of the outcome. That is the constitutional translation of enough is enough. Two clarifications matter. First, the dukedom is not legally extinguished. Removing a peerage requires Parliament. What Andrew has done, or has been strongly encouraged to do, is to cease using it. That doesn't necessarily mean he is no longer the Duke of York. That is why tonight's statement carries legal restraint, yet maximum symbolic force. But giving up the Garter, that status, that is not cosmetic. Garter is the senior order of chivalry and a visible stage for royal prestige. He will also put aside his Royal Victorian Order knighthood. The optics at Garter Day next summer would have been intolerable. Why now? Timing. Excerpts from Virginia Giffrey's posthumous memoir have now been published, and whatever one thinks of litigation that might have been settled without admission of liability, the memoir would have hauled Andrew back into the headlines with lurid detail. Well, it still will. Tonight's move attempts to get ahead of that cycle. It won't silence questions, but it reframes the royal family's posture from indulgence to discipline. And there's a second pressure point. Reporting in the last 48 hours revisited Andrew's meetings with Chai Qi, a senior Chinese official linked to the collapsed UK spy case, adding a fresh strand to the argument that his judgment has imperiled the Crown's reputation. This is not the core of the Epstein story, but it compounds it. One scandal is a crisis, two become a pattern, and Andrew is embroiled in scandals. So, is this contrition or containment? I would call it uncharacteristically human in tone and purpose, even if the mechanics were clearly choreographed with the King and the Prince of Wales. The words are plain, the hierarchy is acknowledged, duty is put first. And for a man whose Newsnight interview defined tone deafness, the shift is stark. It reads like a late acceptance that his name cannot sit beside the state's highest honours without injuring the institution. Constitutionally, this solution is elegant because it spares Parliament and preserves precedent. The dukedom remains in law, yet is dormant in practice. Titles by birth also remain. That draws a bright line between personal identity and public honour. It lets the monarchy say, we cannot rewrite blood, but we can police brand. And politically it stabilises the court. The King is managing multiple sensitivities: public unease, the dignity of the Crown, the feeling of Andrew's daughters, and the risk of drip-feed revelations. And by pushing the decision into a personal statement, he's avoided a set-piece stripping that would have dominated Parliament and the press for weeks. Quite firmness beats noisy spectacle. For York and the armed forces, there is overdue relief. Civic bodies and regiments have been living with the cognitive dissonance of a title they couldn't use without controversy. Tonight clears the air. It also releases charities and patronages from limbo. They can move on without awkward footnotes. What of justice and the victims of Epstein's ring? A title changing hands cannot heal trauma. It can, however, signal that status doesn't shield you from consequence. Andrew settled the civil suit in 2022 while denying the claims. He's still entitled to due process in a court of law. He's not entitled to insulation in the court of public trust. The royal family exists by consent. Consent is earned, and consent is lost. Will this draw a line? It draws a line under the question of what more the palace will do. For now, it will not stop media scrutiny of emails that suggest he stayed in contact with Epstein longer than he said, nor will it hold interest in his financial entanglements or friendships that raise security eyebrows, but it changes the frame from indulgence to consequence, and that matters. And also, it suitably covers the former Duchess of York, Fergie, as well, who loses her title too. The personal piece is delicate but necessary. Andrew will remain at Royal Lodge under a long lease. He will remain a father and a grandfather. He will remain by birth a prince. He will not be a public symbol of the Crown. That is the right partition. Private life continues, public honour pauses, the Crown carries on. to clarify it. This is overdue, significant, and at last, I think, proportionate. If contrition is the price of restoration, this is the down payment. Whether there is more to come, a fuller apology to victims of Epstein, a more candid account of past ties, or even a voluntary move from Windsor, that would determine that will be determined if tonight is the end of the beginning or merely the end of an excuse. For the king, for the institution, for the country, this is the correct call.